Just a couple of things before we get started. Please do me a favor and check out my newest article for ProFootballSpot.com about why the Chicago Bears could be poised for disaster in 2014. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the topic. I'd also like to hear your thoughts on my writing style, the content of my writing, and all of that, and your thoughts on the site in general. Also, make sure you give the show a follow on Twitter at OTRSCentral. Like the new OTRSCentral Facebook page. That link is in the description box as well. And if you want your questions answered in future Q&A episodes that come here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on OTRS Central, the information on how to do that will be in the description box down below. Got some good questions here. Only got about 10 of them, so hopefully this will be a relatively quick Q&A unless I get bloviating and long-winded like I like to do sometimes. Let's get going. At Mr. Tuxedo, has there ever been a point where WWE wasn't your favorite company? Yes. That point would have probably been the time frame between 96 to the very beginning of 98, where it probably was WCW. Now, to be fair, I still didn't have a huge interest in professional wrestling because that time frame of like 93 to 95 was so lean and so bad, in my opinion. But WCW was my favorite company during that time frame for sure. At Callum_Hiller asks, do you believe that general manager authority figures can still be effective in wrestling today? Callum, I think they can. I think part of the problem is that when it comes to professional wrestling, you've seen so many things done so many different ways, so many different effing times. We see so many general manager figures, so many authority figures, that it starts to become a little monotonous. It starts to become a little redundant. It starts to become a bit of a safety valve. And as a result, you don't get the creativity maybe that you should. I think they can work, but I do think they're overused and they're played out very much. So I'm not a huge fan of them at this particular time, whether it comes from a WWE or a TNA. At Y2 Jackass, what was your reaction when the greatest man who ever lived put his great nuts on Christy Hemme's face? That's what she got. That's what she deserved, bitch, for screwing up his ring entrance. No, in the grand scheme of things, she screwed up, which led to his behavior, but his behavior was still kind of ballsy and stupid, pardon the pun. I laughed about it, but then I could understand why she might have gotten upset about it too, and I could understand why it would have bothered some people. Just because I found humor in it doesn't make it okay, doesn't necessarily make it wrong either, I guess. At Best Buy Rick 1, what would happen to the WWE if Linda McMahon ran for president in 2016? Shh. Shh. Don't float that possibility at all. $100 million spent on 2 failed Senate campaigns in a 3-year stretch. How much would they spend on a failed presidential primary run in 2016? Oh my God. Probably looking at $200 million at least. It would probably drive the WWE into dire financial straits because Vince would be siphoning so much money out of the corporate coffers to be able to finance and support Linda's failed presidential primary run in 2016 on the GOP ticket. It would be a complete and total utter disaster, just as her 2 Senate campaigns were in blue dog Democrat states like Connecticut. Just would not be a good news at all for anybody involved, period. You'd see massive cuts in production. You'd see massive cuts of talent. You might see some shows get cut. That's how bad it would be. It would be terrible and god-awful. And can you imagine the far-right conservative Republican propaganda that Vince McMahon would be writing into his television as a way to indoctrinate his fan base to go out there and vote for his wife? Oh, Christ. You thought 2010 was bad. This would be nothing. Stand up and salute WWE would be the message this time. At Volpe Milk, should TNA bring back the King of the Mountain match? If you're going to bring back the 6-sided ring, you might as well bring back the King of the Mountain match. I mean, it was a match that you only had once a year, I think, so why not bring it back? Usually you would have had it at Slammiversary, and that's already come and gone. But if they brought back the King of the Mountain match next year for Slammiversary, if there was a Slammiversary next year, would I be opposed to it? No. I think I'd be okay with that. At Sterniker asked, do you think people cared more about the streak than Taker himself? And could that have been why he wanted it to end? I think people cared tremendously about the streak. The streak came to define Taker to one degree and was a very big part of him. but is not the entirety of Undertaker and is not the reason solely, I think, that so many people love The Undertaker. It's about the respect that he has earned, all of the great work he has done over the years, the different eras that he has spanned. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you talk about Undertaker, who goes back to the Hogan era of the WWF. I mean, so many people have watched him for so many years. He was kind of like that consistent bedrock. So I understand at the end of his career where the streak became him in a way, but there's more to him than just that. And I don't think people cared more about the streak than they did about Taker himself. I really don't. I just think the streak was a big part of it. Could that have been why he wanted it to end? I still don't think he technically was the one that wanted it to end. I fully and still truly believe that that was a Vince McMahon decision, and in part, no surprise, as ridiculous as it was. Do I think Taker, in a way, played along and said, you know what, maybe it is time to end it, and it is what it is? Yeah. Maybe he thought in the old timeout or tradition of when you leave the territory, so to speak, you sit there and put somebody over on the way out. Maybe that's a part of it too. Maybe that's Taker's respect for the business and for the people that have helped him over the years to say, you spent over 2 decades building towards this and investing in this. Let's make sure the company and the business continues to get a return on that investment. I don't think it was the right decision. I still think it was a dumb dick decision, but it's done. Can't be changed. But I think there's something to some of what you're saying, but I don't think that tells the whole story. At WV_CAWS, are you jealous that Dean Ambrose is mastering Renee Young's titties? I don't know if WV_CAWS is a new viewer to OTRSCentral, but if you think I'm jealous of a white guy getting to bang a white girl, chances are you're probably not that clued into the history of the Schleg Daddy. Now, the audience here watching this Q&A can clue you in on what I mean, but basically, let's say she is the wrong color of female for me. As far as I'm concerned, if Dean Ambrose wants her, he can have her. If Renee Young wants him, she can have him. Not my flavor of lady, I promise you. At Jared Simmons, what was the worst of the two for the WWE in the mid-90s? Mabel winning King of the Ring or the fake Razor and fake Diesel? Oh, fake Razor and fake Diesel all the way. That was so dumb. They turned Jim Ross heel to introduce Razor and Diesel. And you're sitting there telling the people that Razor and Diesel are coming back, even though a lot of these same people know that Razor and Diesel are now Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and they're appearing on WCW television, and they are part of the NWO. And all the while, you're bringing back fake Razor and fake Diesel. You're pissing off the fans, and you're insulting their intelligence, and you're reminding them that these guys are not there. And in fact, maybe I should just go bother checking them out on the competition's product. That was by far the worst of the two. At least you could say with Mabel, you know, Vince has always been a muscle mark, and he's loved the bigger, larger-than-life guys. Mabel was naturally big. He was naturally fat. It wasn't a steroid type of thing or anything like that. So it would make more sense, be more believable, more passable, and less harmful to have a Mabel win the King of the Ring. And it's not like they had Mabel actually win the title from Nash in '95 or anything. But fake Razor and fake Diesel, that was just dumb. Period. At EK Wrestling Them, what do you think of Seth Rollins' new theme music? Generic, bland, dull, don't really think it fully fits the character. For so many years, the WWE's composer, Jim Johnston, has created some tremendous theme songs that have, to me, perfectly so often matched the performer and the way they conducted themselves, the way they carried themselves, the way they walked to the ring, everything about them. But over the past few years, man, these themes have gotten really watered down, really generic, a lot of them really sounding the same, and a lot of them really not establishing a unique identity to match the performer. Like I will say, Bray Wyatt's theme does. When the Shield were as a group, that one did. Ryback's did. But then I see like Cesaro's theme music now, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? I sit there and see Seth Rollins' theme, and I'm like, what the hell is that? You know, so they've had some good ones, but they're having more and more bad, bland, generic ones, in my opinion. And at John Cena is a Tool finishes out this Q&A. Which girl in wrestling history is the biggest whore? You could either take Missy Hyatt for 500 or Sunny for 1,000. I guess it's just a matter of your perspective in terms of whoredom. If I had to put my money on one of the two, I would probably have to guess Sunny, and I would probably confidently say Sunny. I'm sure there might have been other whores and rats on the independent scene working with different companies that knew how to suck and swallow a mean dick and took one in every orifice in their body imaginable, including ones that you can't imagine. Um, but I think in general, the most well known and recognized whore in the history of professional wrestling would probably have to be Sunny. Wasn't she charging people a price to sit there and lay in bed with her and take pictures? Oh, God. If that doesn't scream whore, I don't know what does. Again, thanks to all of you that submitted your questions for this Q&A. I have another Q&A episode coming up Monday. Information for you to participate, get your questions answered is in the description box. Also, make sure you check out my latest article about how the Bears could be headed for disaster in 2014 at ProFootballSpot.com. That link's in the description. Follow the show on Twitter at OTRSCentral, and make sure you click on the link to go like the new OTRS Central Facebook fan page. See you again Monday for another Q&A, and stay tuned to this channel all weekend for more great content here from OTRS Central.